What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today I am going to be talking to you guys about counting macros, flexible dieting, calories, nutrition, all of that. Now my reasoning for making this video is because when I explain to clients about flexible dieting, I'd rather have my own video explaining exactly what I mean from flexible dieting, rather than sending you guys like another person's video where I don't completely agree with what they're saying, if that makes sense. So I'm here to talk to you guys about 100% no BS approach to nutrition and actual practical things you guys can put in place, which is science-based, and I can guarantee they will work for you provided you're adherent to, I guess, the protocols. Now I will be talking to you guys about a whole bunch of topics. I asked you guys on my Instagram what are things that you guys want to know about flexible dieting, plus just like questions I get asked about flexible dieting, which I have in my phone here. So we'll get straight into it and let's explain what is flexible dieting basically. So first of all, I do want to say flexible dieting, if it fits your macros, macro counting, all of that, it's all the same term, it's the same thing. So what is it? So basically it is a certain diet approach, and essentially, yes, you can eat whatever you want as long as it fits your macronutrient intake by the end of the day. So yes, you can literally eat whatever you want. Now, macronutrients, what are they? So macros are your proteins, carbs, and fats. So there's 4 calories per gram in protein, 4 calories per gram in carb, and 9 calories per gram in fat, which is why we don't have as many fats, I guess, grams or percentages as much as we would with protein and carbs. So it is just a diet approach, and essentially you can eat whatever you want. Now your macros are determined on your, I guess, current body fat percentage, your weight, your height, your goal, your current activity level, your job, everything. That all plays a role in what your individualized macros should be. Not a single set of macros should be the same. Yes, they can be similar, but what works for me will not work for you. A lot of people will ask me what are my macros individually. If I told you mine, you'd probably gain weight on them just because I spent a long time building them up over time. So you'd probably gain weight on them even though I'm in a dieting phase at the moment. So the questions is, what is a calorie deficit and a surplus? So basically think of this as your maintenance line. So this is where the calories that you will maintain weight at. This is a deficit, this is a surplus. So a surplus is where you're going to gain weight. Maintenance, maintain weight. Deficit, lose weight. So being in a calorie deficit essentially means burning more calories than what you're consuming. Surplus is the exact opposite, so eating more than what you are burning. So essentially if you are in a surplus, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just an overweight person eating more than they consume. It a lot of the time applies if a competitor is in their off season, like you see myself most of the time, and that is me like on purposely gaining weight. I do get my clients to do this after a dieting phase. So we do jump them in a bit of a surplus phase after they've been dieting, because basically once we've dieted down and we've hit our goal, then what? So then we've got to slowly reverse diet our calories back up. Next question is in regards to food groups, and it's just asking so I can eat whatever I want, question mark. Now I do explain all of this in my ebook, so if you are interested in that, feel free to send me a message. I do sell that on my website, but yes, so yes, you can eat whatever you want, not recommended, but in regards to body composition, it does just come down into calories in versus calories out. So like technically, yes, you could eat McDonald's every day and still lose weight if you were in a calorie deficit and tracking actively, but it ain't effective. It's not good long term. You're going to be very hungry still. You're still going to be craving more. So wouldn't recommend. I would still eat 80%, I guess, like whole foods, clean foods, and 20% you can have that like bit of freedom with what you are tracking, because that's just going to make it more long term. And like I said, it doesn't affect your body composition. It just depends on your calories and what you're consuming for the day. When you're eating food and your body's breaking it down, it's not thinking, is this healthy or is this unhealthy? It's just breaking down the proteins, carbs, and fats of the food, so the calories. Remember, macros are calories. So remember what I said, 4 calories per gram protein, 4 calories per gram carb, 9 calories per gram in fat. So the difference in terms of counting calories and macros is macros just allow us to be a bit more specific. So if you count macros, technically you are counting your calories. It just gives us more a specific way of doing it, and we can ensure that you're having the most optimal levels of proteins, carbs, fats for what you're trying to achieve. Different levels of percentages will kind of depend on the person as well, but I'll dive into that later. All right, next question that I get is, how do I count macros? Do I know what it is? Where do I even start? How do I do it? So there is an app called MyFitnessPal, and that is the main kind of macro app that you can download. There are a couple ones out there, but honestly the database just isn't good. Don't even bother with like the other ones, plus you'll have to pay for them most of the time. So MyFitnessPal, it looks like that one, yeah. So we can press in here, it comes up, and then basically you can see like your total goal for the end of the day. Basically, so there's a barcode system in here. So yes, you can like type foods. You can see I've had like my yogurt, my eggs and whatnot today. But basically to say let's go on to tomorrow. So breakfast, press up here, there's a barcode. So you can literally scan. If I press that barcode, I can bring it up, then it comes up with a little video thing. So let me grab some kind of food packaging. So any single food that you buy obviously has a barcode. That's how you have to buy it, right? They scan the barcode. So here's some ham. It's got the barcode on the back. I've got the little barcode system up here. I'm going to scan this barcode with my phone. Let's do this on camera for you guys. So here's the barcode. Scan it up here. Scanning. And then boom, champagne lightly smoked leg ham, 54 calories, 1.5 carb, 1.6 fat, 9 grams of protein, and that's for half the packet, which is 1 serve. And then you just press a little tick, and then boom, it's in there for the day. If the food doesn't have a barcode, which will be rare, but you can always search up foods, I'll do a little trick on that later as well. But yeah, counting macros is super easy. Just literally scanning the barcode. You need to use food scales with everything, and then just bump it in. It's honestly, it can take clients 2 to 6 weeks to actually nail macros, depending how hard they work and how accountable they are and how badly they want to work it. So yeah, I've had clients and they pick it up straight away. It just depends on the client, how high tech they are, I guess, with technology, because it's more so just that than like the diet itself, essentially. Alright, next question is, how many macros do I work out and how many macros should I be consuming? This is so different compared to each client. There is like a calculation which you can do. I used to do that when I first started, is like I actually used to calculate every single person's macro, which I still can do kind of for like, I guess more like athletic clients, but honestly, you really just have to have a sit-down consult with the client, determine what their TDEE is, so their total daily energy expenditure, so how many calories they're burning on a daily, what their current food is like are they eating a lot currently or are they not, how many times they're working out. Like, you kind of just have to base off the conversation that you do have with the client. The hardest part is just getting the client to be honest and truthful with how much they are eating. So I always kind of just say, you know, run me through your day's worth of food at the moment. Be completely honest. I've heard the worst under the sun, because I have. So yeah, just you got to make them feel super comfortable so they feel okay with, I guess, talking to you and being honest about their food, because for a lot of clients it can feel, I guess, a bit of a touchy subject about talking about what they're eating, because they're coming to you because they, you know, have a food problem, they want to get better, and you're here to help them. So you're just going to make them feel comfortable, open up, like get them to open up to you, so you can really narrow it down and personalize their goal for them. So yes, there's calculations, and I do have that in my ebook, but it doesn't always apply to every single client, and each client is so individual. It's honestly, I don't always recommend using the calculator. It is a good base, like a good idea, don't get me wrong. You can use the calculations, and there are online calculators, but I've always every time I've kind of like gone on there, they just give you like the weirdest like ratios. And I remember once a calculator gave me only like 50 grams of protein for a day, and then another one gave me like 300. I'm like, well, what the hell? Like, I don't know what even calculation these things are falling off, but yeah. Honestly, if you're consistent with what you're consuming, you will be just fine. Another question that I get asked a lot is there a specific percentage of each macro? And once again, no, it's so individual to the person. As long as you're hitting your protein goals, which is usually, I recommend 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're in Australia and you count kilograms, convert your kilograms to pounds, and that's essentially a good guide of how much protein you should be having. Once again, depends on the person's previous eating history, and you do kind of want to go off like lean muscle tissue. Like, you don't want to necessarily be putting on an overweight client who weighs 160 kilos, convert that to pounds, and all of a sudden they're eating, you know, like 300 grams of protein. That's ridiculous. They don't need 300 grams of protein to gain sufficient muscle. So you do have to kind of base like how long they've been training as well. So it all just depends in terms of protein, but 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is usually a good guide for the average kind of person. And carbs and fats, normally whatever they run best on. Like I said, calories in versus calories out at the end of the day, but it also depends. If I had more of like an athlete training for a bodybuilding show, then always carbs is going to be higher 100%. In terms of like body composition, doesn't matter, but carbs are always going to be easier to drop later on, and I would always encourage to have them higher as opposed to fats, like in terms of percentages, obviously. So no real exact numbers that I use by any means with that one. Next question, I've kind of briefly touched on it, but it's how do you work them out depending if you're in a deficit, maintenance, and surplus. So as I talked about, maintenance, deficit, surplus, weight loss, maintain, weight gain, or muscle gain, depending how quickly or slow you do it. So kind of 500 calories give or take with your maintenance. Once again, depends on their background, so you really just need to be working with a coach if you're unsure, and get them to work that out for you, because your coach will know what to do. So yes, it just depends, and it depends like how quickly you want to lose the weight, gain the weight, if you have like a goal. So for example, if a client had a wedding and they wanted to hit the you know, a certain weight goal by the wedding, then that's when you'd say, all right, let's make it a bit more aggressive. Okay, so the next question that I got asked was, how do you track fiber? This is something that kind of confuses a lot of people when they do first start. There are some things about counting on fiber on top of your calories. Don't do that. Whatever your macro goal is, hit that. A rough guide for females is about 25 grams of fiber per female, and males 30 to 40 grams, usually like 35 grams of fiber for the average male. Once again, these are averages and just kind of depends person to person, but that's always a good guide to kind of aim for anyway. My personal goal is just 25 grams of fiber, which I hit nice and easy throughout the day. Another question is sugar, alcohols. How do you track those? A lot of you guys, if you're new to tracking macros, skip this part because it's probably more for like the macro counter who's been tracking for a while. Sugar, alcohols is another touchy subject. So this is more so when it comes to tracking protein bars and like health foods. So once again, if you're new, skip this part because it's going to be a little bit confusing, and I'm only going to briefly touch on it. So sugar, alcohols, so basically if you look at, let's just say a Quest bar for example, so it will tell you it's low carb, and it's got 22 grams of protein, 9 fats, and 3 grams of carbs. But then you look at the calories for the macros, and the macros don't equate to the calories. So then you got to kind of work out how many calories times, you got to times the carbs and the fats, work out how many calories that is, and then take away the total by the worked out numbers, then find that out, divide it by 4, and then that's how many carbs is in the protein bar. So it ends up all protein bars, I guarantee you ends up being like 22 grams of carbs per bar. So they're literally like an entire meal, and honestly, they're not worth it. A lot of diet ice creams are like that, and they're actually not even that good in calories. So keep an eye out for that, because they will get you if you're being super consistent and you find you're not losing weight, but then you're also eating 2 protein bars a day. I always say to my clients, I would rather you eat a Snickers bar every day as opposed to a protein bar and then just have a protein shake or something. And because honestly, protein bars ends up having like just the amount of calories as a Snickers bar or a chocolate bar would. So just go what you'd rather. It's going to be long term because you're going to enjoy it more, and then you just have to have a protein shake as well. But it's so much easier to track. At least chocolate bars will actually tell you the true amount of calories, proteins, fats, carbs, as opposed to this like lying thing where you have to work out and you're not really sure. So yeah, and obviously if that kind of sugar alcohols kind of confuses you, feel free to send me a message or an email and I'll get back to you with like the exact things on how to work it out. But yes, sugar alcohols, just keep that in mind. Question every single client I've ever had has asked me this, and this is, should you be tracking food raw or cooked? And the answer is always raw. When chicken or vegetables by any matter, so this applies for both chicken, veggies, pasta, anything, the longer it cooks, the more it shrinks and the less it weighs. So you can weigh your chicken, 100 grams of chicken one time and it might be 50 grams, but the next time you weigh it might be 70 grams or it might be 40 grams, so there's no consistency with it. The longer it's in the pan for, the longer it's in the oven for, it's going to decrease and it's going to get smaller, so you always have to cook it, weigh it beforehand. That way you know you're having a consistent intake of the food that you're having, so weigh it raw. So the next question I got asked is, how do you track foods when they're mixed, e.g. spag bowl or fried rice? So once again, another question that I do get asked a lot. And you, first of all, are you making the meal yourself? If so, then like literally just weigh all the ingredients first and then put it together, if that makes sense. So just like, you know, if you're having fried rice, weigh the peas, weigh the chicken, like it ain't that hard. Same with spag bowl, weigh the spaghetti, cook it, weigh your mince, cook it, weigh your pasta, cook it. So yeah, or if it's a mixed meal and you know your mum's made it for you, you're not going to be able to track it, so don't do that. It ain't that hard. But it's another question that I do get a lot of the time, and it confuses a lot of people, and that's normally the point where people go, oh, it's just too hard, and that's when they give up. So that's normally the question where it screws everyone up, and that's just because they get meals from other people and they can't track it. Following with that one is, how do you track restaurants? How do you track meals at restaurants? With MyFitnessPal, which is the app where we're logging our food, you can search up the restaurant name, look at their website, and it will tell you, most of the time if it's a popular food franchise, it will tell you the calories. Legally they have to. If you're lucky, it will even tell you the macros. And you just got to kind of stick to basic things. So the longer you count macros for, the easier it's going to be to track your calories. So obviously, like if I go to a restaurant now, I could literally eyeball how many grams some chicken is, steak, veggies, rice. Like I just know because I've been counting macros for like 6 years. Whereas a new person would have no idea. So that's kind of something you can do and you'll get familiar with as time goes on. But some really good macro-friendly kind of restaurants is Grilled. So you can get their burgers. Guzman and Gomez, their burrito bowls are really good, and like any kind of Mexican place. Sushi Train does have their macros, but it is really high. And then I guess, what are some other good restaurants for counting macros? Yeah. That's kind of like all I can think of. That's all I kind of really eat when I do go out. Mad Mex, that like Mexican restaurant, they actually have a macro calculator, so it's like Subway, or Subway's another good one. But so you go on their website, pop in what you had, and then it will calculate how many macros that you had for that meal, if that makes sense. Okay, another question, should you eat less on a day you don't train? Absolutely not. So your macros are calculated 7 days a week. So it includes your active days, it includes your rest days. So they're literally worked out including your rest days. So have them on your rest days as well. They're just going to help with recovery. If you're, having a rest day, the whole purpose is to rest, rebuild, recover. So you need those extra calories to help utilize and come back stronger the next day in the gym. So it's only going to be working hand in hand for you. So definitely don't eat less on a rest day. Don't feel like you have to, because you will be better off and you'll be able to get more gains in the long term if you eat more calories on a rest day. Okay, next question is, what about sugar and sodium? So MyFitnessPal automatically will give you goals, and you'll find that every day you're pretty much going to go over both. If you're having, what's a high sodium meal? Even if it's just like those pre-packaged like minute rices, like they will have a lot of sodium in them. Like popcorn, like literally bread will have sodium in it. And sugar, even if you have if you don't have any processed sugar, if you had 2 bananas, it'll probably tell you you've gone over your sugar intake for the day. So don't worry about it. Like I said, it doesn't play a role in body composition. So even if you are consuming like healthy sugars, it's still going to tell you you've exceeded your daily limit. Don't stress about it. If you're eating 80% of health, 80% like wholesome nutrition, food, fruits, veggies, it ain't gonna matter, okay? Okay, so the next one is kind of back to fiber and eating healthy, and I want to talk about something called micronutrients. So we talked about macronutrients, let's talk about micronutrients. So micronutrients is vitamins and minerals. So essentially that's all your good stuff, all the healthy foods that you're eating. So once again, MyFitnessPal will tell you these. No one has an exact amount that they should be having. That's not included in macros, so you don't count that out with it. But like I said, if you're eating 80% whole foods, you're going to be hitting it anyway. Just make sure that you do include, a good variety. It's not just going to be good just to make you feel good. It's not just going to make your insides healthy. It is, but you're just going to be sleeping better, your brain function's going to be better, you're going to be more optimal and more have more energy in the gym. It's basically what I'm going to say. So definitely don't over abuse the fact that you can eat whatever you want. You do still want to be eating healthy. If healthy has a definition, you guys notice that I'm doing these ones every time I say wholesome foods, whatever that word means, because it's such an individual word, and I don't really like to use the word healthy food or bad food, junk food, so it ain't really a thing with me. But you know what I'm kind of trying to say. Nearly at the end, the last one, well, nearly the last one is Refeed Days and carb cycling. So basically information on that. So Refeed Days is something that we tend to like to incorporate. I guess when you kind of about halfway through a cutting phase or like a dieting phase, deficit phase, whatever you would like to call it. And this is kind of like a dieting trick, if you want to call it. It can help, I guess, trick the metabolism, bump it up a little bit, and on that day you want to be consuming obviously more carbs and fats. Your protein normally kind of stays the same. Once again, it's individualized to the person and how their body responds, but Refeed Days are super effective on 99% of people, and they are a super good tool to use when you have been dieting for quite a couple weeks. So we definitely recommend them. You just have to ensure that you are putting the calories to good use. So your calories are higher on that refeed day. So you do want to be doing like a leg day that day, or maybe you have a HIIT session and you got to do that. So, or your steps are super high that day. Most clients, I do recommend to do them on a Saturday or a weekend, just because everyone else is kind of enjoying more calories during the weekend, and you can kind of be more flexible. If you want to have that grilled burger, you can make it fit because you've got more room for calories, then do that. Alright, so last question is just snacks and dessert recommendations that are macro friendly, and there are so many, you guys. You can literally search it up on Google. I am not going to tell you a recipe right now, but there are so many different things that you can have, so many good macro friendly options out there. So go on Google, go in Woolies, go on Coles, start scanning foods, see what kind of fits within your macro intake, because once again, what might be macro friendly for me, because my calories are higher, might not be macro friendly for you. So that is a bit of a broad question again. Google some like macro-friendly recipes, you can Google that. But yeah, in terms of macro recipes, this is something I was thinking about doing, is putting like a macro recipe ebook. So if that is something you guys are interested in, let me know. I do have a lot of macro-friendly recipes up my sleeve, both sweet and savory. So let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in creating. But basically that's it for today's video. If you guys do have any other kind of questions or queries, please comment below, or feel free to send me an email, and we can even just like organize like a free chat. Once again, I do have my flexible dieting ebook available. My website is currently down, so I can't link it below, but message me if you are interested. I do have that on sale at the moment. That's it for today's video, guys. Let me know if there's anything that you do have any questions for, or if you are interested in coaching, please email me. We'll organize something. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video.